That we have now some progress, and that's where we have to build our next strategies. And the progress we have is the Lima Work Group on Gender, and we also have the Gender Action Plan. So we have to use these two tools. First, what we need to ask all the delegates here and in Chile is that we need to extend the period of implementation because because we only have up to now. And we're talking about COP25. I mean, it's 25 years since COP started. And we have 72 resolutions that are really in the Gender Action Plan. And most of them are basically we have a study here that I will share with whoever's interested that we are developing on how to move on this Gender Action Plan and how many resolutions are included already in the different instruments. And we have 72. Most of them are in adaptation, 17 of them, but we also have some in financing, and that's where I think we have to make the greatest stress, which we have 16 on financing, that we need to read them and really see how we can move on these resolutions that are very action-oriented, adaptation and financing. The other one is on capacity building, which I also believe it's extremely important, and of course, technology and then gender balance and those are the less that we have. Loss and damages, we have very few. We only have three where gender is included. So we need to do something there. The second thing I guess we need to do is to make sure that the national determined contributions, the NDCs, incorporate gender equality, but really, not only to mention them, because we have, in Latin America, we have 13 countries that have mentioned gender equality. No. We don't only want the name to be there around. No. What are the real actions that we need in Latin America and in my region where I'm speaking of, but I'm sure that this is the same in other regions of the world, where we do need to have women in key positions, I would say. For example, in ECLAC we're going to have the regional conference on women from the 4th to the 9th of November, and we're going to have a concrete analysis of climate change from the economic perspective, because all the conference is going to be oriented towards the economic autonomy of women. That is, are women really autonomous economically? The answer is no. I mean, all over the world, of course, but in our region also we have a real problem. 1/3 of women don't have an income of their own, and that doesn't mean women are not working. The problem is that women are working, but they are not being paid, which is a different story. And we have to institutionalize the care economy, and the care economy is essential to liberate the time of women, and also to make sure that women are very well represented in decision-making processes. I'm very impressed to see in Costa Rica that women are in the cabinet and leading, I would say, leading infrastructure, not leading the social, because normally women are in the culture, in the social, which is okay, no problem, of course. But I mean, we also have to be in the economic decision-making. And we have to put pressure on the private sector as well, because I believe the private sector is not doing enough in incorporating women, and we have to fight that from the different fronts we have. And finally, just to quickly finish my participation, is that we are very much pushing for this. We have a gender observatory that takes care of the situation of women, and we measure, we disaggregate every single number that ECLAC is producing has to be disaggregated between men and women, and that helps a lot, because that's the only way you understand the gaps, the salary gaps, all the gaps, and then access, for example, to public services or to housing or to anything. You can measure it clearly. So, but one thing that we are missing in the Gender Observatory is concrete data and indicators on climate change. And what are those? And I have some ideas here that we should work on. I think we have to measure access and problems that women are confronting on food security, on health, access to health, and on displays. I mean, because in migration, who are the ones who are migrating? For example, in Central America, men, young men, and who stays behind? Women, and many of the households are, headed by women only. So we really need to look at that. When, for example, when there is a problem of coffee, like we saw this morning, coffee is so important for this region. So whenever there are displacements because the coffee crops are falling apart because of droughts or whatever, what happens with the women? I mean, the men migrate, fine, and women, you see what I mean? So we have to look at that. How are we going to help those women to reintegrate themselves, if so? But anyway, displaced, migration. The impact of natural disasters also on women is high. We just faced the problem of Bahamas. Just to put you an example, 50% of the population of Bahamas lives below the 5 meters sea level. Below 50%. So of course, this. When you see Dorian, of course Bahamas was completely flooded. So, and who are the ones who suffer the most? Honestly, women. So, if we are capable and we can work together with Costa Rica, with Chile, with all of you, to pull together a set of indicators that can really show us the linkages between climate change, adaptation. I think adaptation for women are essential, mitigation too, of course, but I think the most important part of our lives is going to be related to adaptation. And of course, we have to make sure that all the priority areas of the action plan on gender should be incorporated in the plans. We have 13 mentions, as I said, but we also have 7 countries, and I would like to mention them: Cuba, Costa Rica, Panama, Dominican Republic, Mexico, who have Haiti, Peru, who have really made an effort to incorporate the gender equation into the NDCs. So let me stop here. I think we have powerful instruments. Now we need to push for that. And not only in the COP25, we have to do it everywhere. This is the year of Beijing plus 25. And what I'm worried, and with this I will end, I promise, is that in some cases we are going backwards, If we are in the defense line, I have to admit, because many of the governments of the world are going backwards. They are becoming more conservative. They are, so we are protecting what we have, which is Beijing, which is the Montevideo consensus that we have in Latin America. But it's very complicated to make sure that we don't go backwards, but we really go forward. So thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity, and I'm so glad to be together with the First Lady.
Gracias.